يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا ويا هلا يا هلا ويا هلا ويا
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Welcome to the program Let's Talk with me, Julie Alli. We're coming to you live from our Sunning Hill studios here in Johannesburg. We will be with you till 10 o'clock. Lots of interesting things coming your way this morning. We're joined by Shamim Garda in the studio this morning to talk about her new NGO. We are also going to be talking water issues with an environmentalist at UCT in Cape Town, and we'll be wrapping up by chatting with Robin Banks, the motivational speaker, and I can't wait to get all revved up with him, inshallah. And the usual drill, 2 giveaways on the show this morning, a lovely sweet hamper from Broadway Sweets and an Amla hair care hamper from AMCA. And all you need to do to qualify for one of those lovely prizes is to call us on 011 086 7777. Share a comment or some questions, or perhaps a suggestion for future programs, and walk away with one of those prizes. So do stay with us. It's great to be with you on this lovely Saturday morning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And we go over to our first guest for the morning, Shamim Garda. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the show.
Walaikum salam, thank you for having me, Julie.
Great to have you here. Now, before we start talking about your new initiative, Clean South Africa, you have a history, a very, very long history with an NGO, and at the time, of course, it was SANCA. They are still in operation, are they not?
Yes, they are.
Okay, tell us what you did there for, 23 odd years?
26.
Oh, okay.
I'm giving my age away, but 26 years. Yeah. A wonderful NGO to do with substance abuse, and they have over 30 clinics throughout the country. My office, or our office, the national office, closed down because of budgetary constraints 3 years ago. And as I said, it's helping the person affected by drugs and alcohol. And a wonderful initiative by SANCA and all other private, public, government organizations that do wonderful work. So it's the people who are affected and not affected, because even families know or would need to know how to deal with substance abuse.
You were the director for that many years with them?
I was local, meaning in Lenasia with the Nishtara Clinic for 10 years, and 16 years as the National Executive Director for SANCA.
MashaAllah, what an achievement. So the national office then, or the head office, so to speak, closed down. You moved on 3 years, not with, SANCA any longer, and you've now gotten pretty busy with another NGO. It's called Clean South Africa, and you are now pursuing this dream and vision of yours. What's it all about, and how did it start up?
Yeah, when you say another NGO, it's actually an NGO that myself and my family started, and it's called Clean South Africa, and the clean can go for substance abuse as well as clean in a physical way as well. So I still haven't left clean, meaning the substance abuse side of it, because I'm still hoping that inshallah people will remain clean for a long, long time.
Ameen, ameen.
It was something that came from having a shower at a hotel, and you wonder what happens to that used bar of soap. And if I put it to you, I don't know if you're going to give me the answer that I'm looking for, but having researched it, most of that used soap either gets given away to NGOs, to the staff, thrown away. Now the thrown away is the environment. That means it gets put in a van and it gets thrown into a landfill. So I researched this and I felt, why can we not make use of this? And the buzzword is recycle, reuse, and what's the third one? The 3 R's, reduce, recycle, and reuse, right? So let's recycle and reuse this. And having done research, there is an organization in America doing it, and they have become very, very successful. What they do, what we'd like to do is we'd like to recycle used soap from hotels, because that's where you're going to get the bulk of the bits of pieces of soap, and sanitize it. Now, people give it to their staff, they give it to NGOs, but it's not sanitized. So we're going to add a little bit of sanitizers in a basic bar of soap, handing it out to the needy communities so that we reduce infectious diseases. If we don't, skin diseases, typhoid, cholera, influenza, even Ebola, all of those kinds of diseases are just multiplying because of infections out there.
Even in our own households, you've just brought something to my mind now, and it's scary, because even in our own households we could be passing on diseases from one person to another and wonder why a disease is spreading, or perhaps why you can't get rid of an infection, or possibly even the common cold and flu.
Julie, a very good point. One of my family members many years ago was so surprised when I said, please don't use that towel, that's mine, use this towel. And he said, why? A towel is a towel. But yes, you are spreading. If you have an infectious disease, meaning a skin disease, we don't have very serious diseases that way, but you are spreading diseases. So washing with your own soap also helps. But the emphasis is not on that. The emphasis is on those that don't have any kind of soap, any kind of sanitizer. In Islam, we do wudu 5 times a day. We do we'll wash, we'll bath so many times a day. We'll wash our hands so many times a day. There are people out there that cannot wash. Water is a scarcity right now in South Africa, but we've got NGOs dealing with that. I'm saying let's bring an extra in terms of adding soap to that. At least they have access to sanitation as well. And the Department of Water and Sanitation says sanitation is dignity. We want to add dignity to people out there. And you and I, the public out there, individuals, can make a difference. We don't have to all be doing what we're doing. We need everybody, you guys and everybody else, to support us in making this happen so that people have dignity and we prevent infectious diseases. Then I want to come back to the environment. Green is the buzzword, the environment. We have to, even in Islam, it says we must look after our plants and our everything.
Our resources,
our
resources,
resources,
right?
Course. So we're saving landfill costs and landfills, and we're not tossing it away. We're doing something about it. Waste needs to be reused.
Let's come to the how. It sounds great on paper. It sounds simple. It sounds very simple and sounds so doable. What are the challenges you're facing currently, and what sort of support are you in fact getting as far as this Clean South Africa is concerned?
Julie, it's so doable that you cannot believe. You know, if you just even, I know of lots of people that take little bits of soap and make a big bar and use it. Why not? Yes, it's still going to do the same thing. So what we're going to do is, if we collect the soap, put it into a big melting pot. I'm making it very simple, but it'll be a plant, meaning it'll go through machinery. Big melting pot. And once it slowly boils...
And sanitize, obviously, in the process.
I'm going to add the sanitizer. Mm-hmm. You can just do that and hand it out, but remember, I came back to my infectious diseases, so we're going to sanitize, remold very basic little bars, put 5 or 6 in a packet and hand out. 2, now with my Sanka network, I've got NGOs all over the country. They will collect, or we'll deliver to them, and they'll hand out to their constituents. So there we are. It's a simple thing. But we need people's help. We need corporates. We need funding to run the plant. So that's where I'm stuck, where I'm knocking on doors, putting out my cap there, but nobody's budging right now. But we have got one NGO in the UK interested. It's a Muslim women's organization, and they do wonderful work with water, sanitation and hygiene. It's WASH, W-A-S-H, and even South Africa has a Department of Water Sanitation here. They are willing to assist, but they're also saying financially they can't. So my main aim is to fundraise to run my plant.
Inshallah. Okay, let's take an ad break, and when we get back, we'll continue our discussion with Shamim Garda. Perhaps you have some ideas, perhaps you are in the know, you know someone who might be able to give her a step up with this amazing idea of hers, Clean South Africa. Call in, share your thoughts and comments with us, and in the process, win a lovely hamper, a sweet hamper from Broadway Sweets, or an Ambler hair care hamper. The line to call is 011 086 7777, and remember, we're with you till 10 o'clock this morning. This is Let's Talk. Welcome back. This is Let's Talk with me, Julie Alli. It's a lovely Saturday morning, and I'm talking to Shamim Garda. We're talking about her new NGO. It's called Clean South Africa. We're waiting for your calls. Back to you, Shamim. I know you come from a cricketing mad family, and in light of that, you shared a little story with me about Sachin Tendulkar and the NGO that he's involved with. Tell us a little bit about that and the thoughts you have to do something similar in South Africa.
Yeah, I think when you mentioned the AMLA giveaway, I also thought of that. But Sachin Tendulkar retired from cricket, if I'm correct, November 2013. But the positive side of that is UNICEF grabbed him as brand ambassador for hand washing in Asia, South Asia. And that the problem, well, I think it's worldwide, coming out of toilets and not washing your hands. A lot of people don't do it, a lot of people do. So they are getting Tendulkar to do water demonstrations, water talks, sensitize the community, and I'm hoping I can secure a cricketer, maybe Hashim Amla or whoever, to be our brand ambassador once we get going as well.
Oh, mashallah, that does sound amazing. So as brand ambassador, obviously there's going to be a lot of media coverage as far as Clean South Africa is concerned. Earlier on we spoke about challenges that you face. You know, sadly, in this day and age, you know, there are a lot of amazing people doing a lot of amazing work and would give you the type of support you need. But sometimes it's not what you know, and I know that you know a lot, and you know you've been so involved in the community, but it's also about who you know. What about those who's? Have you started knocking on doors? What sort of responses are you getting?
You know, our Muslim corporates are wonderful. I haven't really knocked on those doors. I should, and I will, because I wanted to have an awareness or collection drive, similar to the Hydrate one, but I don't want to dilute that in any way, but I just want to, excuse the pun, water and soap go hand in hand. And I feel that we can work together. A lot of NGOs are very possessive of their initiatives and they feel they don't want to dilute that, but we're saying let's work together for the betterment of the community. At the end of the day, we're not looking after ourselves. In Islam, it says we need to learn to give as well. And they say give in abundance and you'll receive in abundance, whether it's du'as, whether it's whatever. So let's rally together to do that. And as you said, it's who you know. This network, wonderful media for me to promote myself, and I thank you for that. But we need people to promote us and to work with us. There's a saying, I can't remember exactly who said it, but everyone, one person can't do everything, but everyone can do one thing. And this is one thing we should all start doing so that we can make a difference.
Let's understand how this is going to operate. You're going to have a plant, you're going to have a team of workers, obviously. You're going to, logistically it sounds a bit huge. So what sort of startup are you looking at? Size of the operation, and what sort of startup costs are you going to need?
You want me to go into figures?
Yes, why not?
Okay.
Let's throw it out there. Who knows? Yeah. Somebody might just come on board.
Julie, my simplicity in terms of the melting pot is not that simple, right? What we'd like to do is we actually have premises. A very good gentleman has offered his premises for a very, very minimal rental, which is wonderful. You need to get machinery. Machinery costs are high. A machine that will take the used soap, form it, pass it through a mold, simply package it, box it, people will get it. Now, all that requires funds. Then we need to courier it, or they're going to come pick it up, but people will want funds to come and pick it up as well. So it's a case of, yes, there are costs to it. We're looking at close to 2 million per annum. But divide that by 12, divide that by the staff you need, divide that by the courier costs, whatever, logistics. I mean, businessmen out there know how these things work. So we're looking at plus minus 1.8 to 2 million rands per annum.
Mm-hmm. How far down the line are you in meeting that figure?
Not in South Africa, but in the UK NGO Global One, which is a Muslim-based female NGO. I'm going to say female because we are the doers at the end of the day.
Absolutely. We're the pillars of society, alhamdulillah.
Exactly, and they can't do without us anyway. So they're willing to help, but I haven't signed anything yet. I haven't signed on the dotted line. It looks good, it looks promising, and because of that, I'd like to do my Ramadan drive where we're going to put bins out at supermarkets, schools, corporates, households can come and drop the good soap and the used soap so that we can start the awareness with good soap in terms of how you need to wash your hands and why.
Okay, that also sounds like a bit of a logistical nightmare. Bins all around Gauteng, I guess all around South Africa.
Well, we'll start with Gauteng, and not the greater Gauteng, perhaps a localized area.
And where will that soap be transported to? Where, where is your depot going to be set up?
At this stage, as I said, we have premises in Krugersdorp, and we'll take it there. And the intention is Mandela Day, 67 minutes for Mandela, so we'll distribute on Mandela Day. And the 15th of October is Global Hand Washing Day. We have done it previously at schools, so we'll try and do a huge Global Hand Washing Day with the Department of Water and Sanitation.
Okay, Department of Education, do you think you can partner up with them and get a bigger thrust into schools, especially schools in rural areas? I imagine that's where your target market really is.
Definitely, most definitely. And just talking about schools, do you know, not washing your hands, as I said, causes infectious diseases. And one of them is, because the children are not clean enough to go to school, it will improve them school attendance as well. So that's one of the
Is that one of the barriers to attend school attendance?
At schools, yeah. And we're talking more child mortality. It's more a mother-child thing from the home, unsanitary conditions. The children are sick. It's diarrhea, it's typhoid, it's cholera, it's influenza, all of that from the home. And there's at least 9,000 deaths per annum in areas, and we can reduce all of that. In America, they've shown that with their initiative, annually they're reducing infectious diseases by 40%.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So far, I think you alluded to the fact that the hospitality industry has kind of given you some sort of go-ahead, but what sort of commitment are you getting from them? Is there anything concrete that you could work with as far as they're concerned?
I've had discussions with the CEO of FedHasa, which is the Federation of the Hospitality Industry in South Africa. They've endorsed the project and they think it's wonderful. We're asking for their used soap, and we can get millions of bars, which we'll recycle into millions of bars as well. The only barrier I have, which America doesn't have, and that is the hotels there are giving the soap as well as almost a little levy, say 500 Rand a month from a hotel, which is not much. They're charging in dollars. Now, why we need that is to run the plant. So the hotels are saying, why do we need to give you our soap and give you some money as well? Pick up our soap anytime. But I'm saying it's almost like the CEO sleep out last year on the 26th of June. Most corporates are committed to some kind of welfare, charity, sports, whatever, education, rugby, soccer, cricket and that. And that's my barrier. And I'm saying, come on corporates, yes, we know you've got a social responsibility program for a year or two, but giving a little bit more than we get the once-offs from the corporates all the time, and we're saying, please help us. it's not as important as water, but it goes hand in hand. You need to wash with water alone is not going to take away those pathogens to pass on diseases. We're saying the soap will. And we, as the so-called fortunates, have that. Let's make a difference for the ones that don't have.
And that then brings us to the end of the interview, believe it or not. Thank you, Shamim, and lots of success, ongoing success with Clean South Africa. That was Shamim Garda talking about her new NGO, Clean South Africa. Let's try and support her in every way we can. Inshallah, she'll be with us sometime in Ramadan as well to talk about the progress they've made, and all those people with the big hearts and the deep pockets. This is where you come in, inshallah. Let's take an ad break, and when we get back, we'll be talking about the water situation in South Africa. Welcome back. I've just been told that we're unable to get hold of our environmentalist scientist at UCT. We were meant to be talking about water issues in South Africa, and particularly the dam levels not only in the Western Cape but all around the country. Pity about that, but we have an absolutely dynamic motivational speaker in the studio with me. I'm pretty excited to chat with him, and I'm hoping that by the end of this interview I'm going to be revved up for the rest of the year, inshallah. But stay with us, he's amazing. Our lines are going to be open throughout the show on 011 086 7777. You know, you can call in, talk about whatever it is that you're battling with, how you can, you know, get him to say a few words to you to perhaps get you motivated and get you going. I know that it's April, but I know also that, with me anyway, all of those New Year resolutions are out the window. So how do we get ourselves motivated? What is it that we need to be saying to ourselves? Well, the expert he's definitely the expert. He's in the studio and he'll answer all of those questions for us. And in the process, you can stand to win a sweet hamper from Broadway Sweets or an Amla hair care hamper from Amca. So get those calls rolling in. Good morning, welcome to the show. And you know, I heard somewhere that you go around robbing banks. What's that all about?
Well, it is my name. It's very funny actually, because growing up in South Africa and in Johannesburg, you know, the name Robin Banks didn't have the same impact it does when I travel internationally now. I've got so many stories of, you know, like Americans get it very quickly. Your name's Robin Banks. Well, that sounds more like an occupation than a name. I've had some funny things. I was in an island once and this woman was busy signing me in. She says, "What's your name then, love?" I said, "My name's Robin Banks." "Oh, that's very funny. What's your real name?" So I said, "No, it's my name." "What were your bloody parents thinking then?" So it is a funny name, but it helps because people remember my name. I rob banks.
Absolutely. The moment Akira, my producer, suggested that we have you on, and she was very, very excited to have you on the show. And of course, the penny dropped, and I said, "Of course, you know, I've been to a couple of those talks of Robin, you know, in my time in the corporate world." And yes, he's pretty dynamic, and I know it's going to make for a great interview. So your journey, Robin, where and how did it start? And, you know, in these days and times, we're getting more and more young people coming through and venturing into areas we never dreamt of or never dreamt was possible for us in South Africa as Indians and coloureds and black people. And here we have a Robin Banks. When and how did this journey start?
That's a good question, actually, because I grew up in Riverlea. So I'm a coloured boy from Riverlea. And I was okay at school. I'm not an academic. I always say to people, I'm not an academic. I got 46% for my matric, which is an E for enough. What a skanda. But it was an E for enough, because the F is a fail, so they let me go. But I think I discovered my passion for people development. I was given an opportunity to go and live in the States when I was 18 years old.
How did that come about?
Friends of my mom just, you know, said to me that, you know, Robin's got such great energy. And I mean, my mother was very concerned about me because I was always in trouble at school. I wasn't naughty in the sense of like smoking and fighting.
Not a delinquent.
I wasn't a delinquent, but I just couldn't contain my energy. I was constantly talking and I had too much energy. My energy was just too much. And so I was always being called, Robin continues to disrupt the class. He doesn't know how to sit still. So anyway, you know, there was a community in the States that, you know, did like carpentry apprenticeship work, but really molding young people and people to live meaningful and purposeful lives. So I was given a very special gift in that I got to go and live there for 2 years, and I had a huge shift. Something happened internally. I remember working with some friends. I have no idea where this story came from. But I was busy digging, we were busy digging trenches and laying pipes, and the whole idea was that, you know, work is God, is love made manifest. If you can do anything you do with absolute love, even washing dishes is a pleasure. It's not what you do, it's the spirit with which you do it. And so we used to do lots of menial tasks like cleaning toilets and putting love and energy into everything you do. So it was actually part of training. Anyhow, so we were busy working away, and this one guy, Bob Kaufman, says to me, Robin, you know, I bet you can't keep quiet for at least 5 minutes. If you can keep quiet for 5 minutes, I'll give you $20. Now this is 1989. $20 is a lot of money. And I'm like, I can keep quiet for 5 minutes. No, it lasted about 2 minutes. I just was constantly talking. And I love what one of my friends said to me. He said, Robin, you've got such great energy. You've just got to learn to channel it. Because if you can channel your energy into where you want it to go, and that's true for any of us, if you can channel your energy on what you want to achieve, where you want to go, that's what's going to bring great goodness into your life. What most of us do is we channel our energy into worry, we channel our energy into focusing on what's wrong, negative thoughts. So I was given a gift in that I actually had an opportunity to really learn that true mastery is an internal experience, and it actually takes work and effort and discipline. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but that's really when the shift started for me. I believe that all of us have got a unique gift to give the world, and I really believe that. I'm not just saying that. Every single one of us has something special to bring. What I have the ability to bring is I have the energy to uplift and inspire people, and so it's a calling. Ask me to do technical stuff like you guys are doing there in the studio. I'm just like, it's just too complicated for me, you know, for some people that's so easy. Yeah. So I think if you can find your calling and find what is it that you do, that time just flies. So for me to stand and speak, I mean, honestly, I love what I do. I love being with people. I absolutely love people. And so I found my calling. I found my purpose, and my purpose is to ignite a fire in people and make them realize how awesome life is if you can just choose to focus your attention on what it is that you want.
We're going to talk passion and energy and just how you can bring the true beauty of yourself out if you're passionate and you channel the passion in the right direction. But let's just go back to your early days.
Okay.
You were digging trenches, you were building toilets, you were doing really blue-collar stuff.
Yeah.
Look where you are today. How did that transition happen?
Wow. You ask good questions. Never been asked that question before. I think the early days of my life, I'm 46 now, but up until the age of 30, a huge part of my focus was an internal focus, and doing work, as I said to you, was something I used to do to find how can I do anything with love. And so I found my passion in, just to go back a little bit, I was a cabinet maker. My dad was a cabinet maker, and I was an okay cabinet maker, and I wasn't a brilliant cabinet maker, but I could build your kitchen cupboards for you. I mean, I have that skill. Not my passion, but I have that skill. And then at the age of 25, I started working for a youth leadership program called the Rally Project. And that's when I discovered my passion for people development, because the whole idea with Rally was to get young people to meet each other cross-culturally. It was 1995 in South Africa, and the country was a new democracy, and the whole idea was to get young people, black, white, colored, Indian, Muslim, Jewish, Christian, to meet each other cross-culturally and learn to be together. And it was a year-long program. And that's when I realized that this is my passion, because I stood up in front of 100 kids to do a presentation for the first time, and something just came alive. And for 5 years, I worked in this NGO. I wasn't paid much money. I was to earn 3,000 Rand a month, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I couldn't believe I was paid to do what I do. I was like, this is amazing. I can't believe people pay me to do this. And then I started doing adult training, because I reached a point where I kind of found that this was too easy for me. You know, I wasn't challenging, and I think if you're not feeling challenged, you're not going to grow. So I kind of got into a comfort zone where I wasn't really even having to prepare for my sessions. So I thought, I'm going to start doing adult training, because I mean, adults are more cynical and it will be trickier to do training and development for them. And I started doing work with a program called Victim to Victor, which I'm
going to ask you more about. And
started doing adults training, and that started going well. And I really enjoyed it, and then I also discovered I can make better money with it, which was nice, but I'm still empowering people. So I'm still doing my passion, and I'm being rewarded for it, which was great. But it's never been about that side for me. I do think it's important to be, I enjoyed what Shamim said somewhere in the Quran, that, you know, about abundance. I can't remember the exact statement, but I believe
if you give, you get.
As you give, so shall you receive.
And I think that's a Christian concept as well.
Yeah. I think it's a universal concept.
Absolutely,
that if you give abundantly, you receive abundantly. So
and that's anything, not only money, love, respect, admiration, anything. As you give, will you receive, so shall you receive. How long did you spend in the States? And then when you came back to South Africa, you told us the story of, you know, where you went to. But how long were you in the States?
I was in the States for 2 years, from 1988 to 1990. And then I was in the UK for 6 months. From 1990 to like the end of 1990. And I came back at the age of 21. And everybody was like, why are you coming back to South Africa? There was a woman in the States who even offered to marry me so that I could stay in the States and, you know, get a green card. And I'm like, no, I want to go back home. And all my friends were like, are you nuts? Why are you coming back to South Africa? And I said, because I feel that I've got a role to play in helping South Africa make the transition. I think we all do if we choose to. And so that was when I came back.
Later on in the program, I'm going to ask you to give us a little mini motivational talk, you know, rev us all up and all of that.
Awesome.
But for now, who or what really shaped you? The people that touch your life in a positive way. I'm thinking about young people today. I like this concept about mentors and coaches. And I think if each young person hooked up with a mentor or a coach, just imagine how rich their lives could become or would become, and how they'd start seeing things differently. You know, they'd be able to make change possible in their lives. Do you think that is doable? And who was the one person or the people in your life that made the person sitting in front of me the huge success that he is?
I've had many mentors, and I actually like to think that I have mentors in every area of my life. So I have people who are mentors for me just in terms of who they are as people. I have spiritual mentors. I have mentors who physically inspire me in terms of the way they look after their body. And I have people who are financially successful who are mentors. And it's going to sound cliche, but it's the fact. My mom is my #1 mentor.
Wow, yes.
My mom's an amazing woman. She has dementia now. So whenever I go and visit, I'm like, will she remember?
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was sad in the beginning. And then I realized, because I can't have a conversation with her. You know, she's not there in that way. But the beautiful thing my cousin said, and I'm going off track here, but if anybody has dementia out there, this has been the biggest gift my cousin gave me. His father has dementia. And I said, I don't know how to be with my mom. How do I be with my mom in the state she is? He says, well, you can't be with the mom that you used to be with. It's a different person. He says, but actually, it's a beautiful, beautiful way to be with her. I said, why? He says, because now I hold my dad's hand, which I could never do. I walk with him in the street and I say, Dad, I love you so much. You are such a special person to me. And I can stroke his face and I can hold him and I can hug him. And I was like, wow. So now I'll sit with my mom and I say, do you know how much I love you? And she said, yes, I know. I said, no, you don't know. And so it's changed, but it's still very special. So, but she was my #1 mentor. My mom used to say to me, growing up, my son, in whom I am well pleased. You are going to make a big difference in this world today.
Please, God, you continue to do so. And just as a matter of interest, it's quite a coincidence that you talk about your mom who is suffering from dementia. On my Wednesday show, we had Alzheimer's South Africa here talking about Alzheimer's, you know, trying to, you know, give some focus onto this little known, they call it the forgetting disease.
Yes.
So that's what we spoke about.
Interesting.
Young people these days, you know, you spoke about passion, you spoke about energy. Young people have loads of energy. and misdirected, we know what can happen. You have a lot of delinquency, you have a lot of drug addiction, you have gangsterism, you have all the negative things that happens to people as life goes by. And also, in another sense, if they've got passion, if they've got energy, if they've got great ideas, they're wanting instant success and they want loads of money. They want a job that's going to pay them big money right up front. What would your message be to them? Because we know that that is not a given. You really have to work long and hard to get where you want to be.
Well, I'm going to say, there's a book by Susan Jeffers. No, Susan Jeffers. There's a great book, not the one I'm referring to, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, but that's not the one. There's a book called Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. And I love that.
All do that, unfortunately.
Well, I think for young people, if they can find their passion first, or how do you do that? Because, okay, let's step back. How do I find my passion? What is it? And I know in the beginning you're still discovering. I found my purpose at the age of 25, so it took me a while. But I was also very patient with it. My family were very adamant, like, Robin, you should go to university. I was like, I don't know what to study. I'm not sure that that's where I'm going to go. And look, I was very clear that I'd find my purpose. I always knew it. But I also have a very strong internal Geiger counter that directs me. And a strong internal locus of control.
Can we hold that thought and take an ad break, please? We're going to uncover all of that in the show. I'm talking to Robin Banks. He's a motivational speaker. I've been inspired by him. When I worked in the corporate world, I attended lots of his talks, and boy, does he get you going. I do hope that you're going to be touched by him during the course of this interview. And I also hope you're going to call in with a question or a comment, and in the process, stand in line to win a prize, a sweet hamper or a hair care hamper. The line to call is 011 086 7777. But first, let's pay the rent. Welcome back. I'm talking to Robin Banks. He's a motivational speaker, and we're talking about issues that touches young people and I guess society in general. I asked Robin about instant gratification, very especially as far as young people are concerned, and over to you to respond to that.
So I was saying that this great book called Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow, because when I was doing my youth work, I was earning 3,000 Rand a month.
Okay.
And I was reaching a point going, geez, how long am I going to do this? And I was like, you know what? When I read that book, I thought, what do I love? I thought, I love this. I absolutely love it. And I thought, well, I'm going to trust that if I keep following that, I'll find my purpose. And then I started doing corporate work and motivational speaking. And today I'm still doing what I love. And the money has followed. I've been abundantly blessed. I'm very, very grateful for that. But I do think, in my opinion, and everyone's got theirs, but in my opinion, when you find something that you absolutely love, when you find your purpose, now I agree with you, it might not be easy, but I do believe that if you can find that part of yourself where you're doing something that you absolutely love, I cannot believe people pay me to do what I do. Because when I get up on stage in front of 1,000 people, 5,000 people, it's heaven. Now, most people would be like, 5,000 people. No, I can't handle that. I mean, you could. But most people would be terrified.
Not sure if I could.
I can tell you speak so well. You've got such great eloquence and confidence. But when you find that, then you need to start being open to the awareness. And I love what you said. Be careful about instant gratification, because I actually find that that's the downfall. In fact, do you know that most people who win the lotto, do you know that like a huge percentage, something crazy, like 80% of them lose all the money within 1 year?
Sure.
Because they don't know how to handle it. They haven't developed the internal wiring to be able to have that level of abundance. So I actually almost think it's wiser to learn how to manage small things. In fact, I think there's a thing about tithing that, you know, to whom a little, if you can make something of the little bit I give you, more shall be given unto you. And that whole concept of abundance again, as you give abundantly, you receive abundantly. So I would say to young people out there that, yeah, of course, go after abundance. I love abundance. I love wonderful toys and cars and homes and all those things. But I think the primary thing is I know people who have got all those things and they're really not fulfilled. And success without fulfillment is failure.
Okay. We talk motivation, and I always wonder, do I need a Robin Banks to motivate me? Isn't it up to me? Isn't it something within myself that I need to motivate myself to make whatever changes I need to in my life, or if I'm feeling, you know, hopeless, helpless, you know, the world is my enemy, nothing's going right for me, nobody loves me, etc., etc., etc. That very sad story, you know, the whole victim, I'm trapped into victim mode. Do I need a Robin Banks to break me out of the victim mode?
Sometimes it helps to get a little bit of external stimulus, but sustaining that, because I always say to people that, you know, motivational speakers, you know, you feel good for 2 or 3 days and then you go back to suffering. It's terrible.
True.
Because the external circumstance, stimulus can help you get motivated and inspired externally. But yes, you are 100% right. You don't need a Robin Banks. In fact, the person you need most is yourself. But you do need to learn how to control and direct your inner mastery, your inner state of being, your thoughts, your words, your feelings, your attitudes, your beliefs. So what I teach people to do, take control of those things, your thoughts, your feelings, your attitudes, your beliefs. What's happening in the inside is what's creating the outside. So I need to learn to master the inside. So I 100%, you do not need a Robin Banks. In fact, the person you need most is yourself. But you need to learn to master yourself. You need to learn to master the mind. I always say to the people, the mind wants leadership. It wants to be told what to think. So, coming to a Robin Banks or a Tony Robbins or a John Keogh or Robin Sharma, I believe those things are useful in order to give you that kickstart, in order to get you going, in order to just shake you out of your current state. However, the only person who can sustain that is you.
We have a lot of angry young people for whatever reason. Again, I guess it's the instant age, it's the frustration, it's the stress levels, it's the dream job that they didn't get, it's my mother's fault that I didn't go to university, it's my ex-boss's fault that I didn't make progress in life, it's the government's fault that you know, they haven't made more opportunities available to young people, etc., etc., etc. Lots of angry young people. We see road rage is nothing new in our country. We're the #1 capital of the world as far as road rage is concerned.
Wow.
So, you know, how do you redirect all of that? How do you tell a young person to take control of his emotions, of his situation, to be the change he wants to see around him, and to get rid of anger is good. You need a bit of anger to propel you, but it can be very destructive if not directed, you know, properly.
Yeah. Geez, you said so much there. First of all, I think we have a lot of angry people, not just young people, a lot of angry people. I think the world is going through an incredible amount of change. And just look at what's happening around you, our country, the world. There's just so much change. I think we're in a good time. And that sounds like, really? What do you mean? I think we are evolving to a higher level of consciousness at the moment, and there's a speeding up happening on the planet. And we are being invited to shift our consciousness to a higher vibration. Whatever you choose to call that. So in terms of the anger, the internal anger, first of all, just what you said about anger, I love what you said. I 100% agree. Anger is great energy. It's awesome energy if you can control and direct it. If you can control and direct that energy into the place you want it to go. So if you are feeling anger, don't deny the anger. Because denying the anger can actually, suppressing it, is what actually eventually causes cancer. It's what eventually causes internal, because you're trying to be this nice person. Having said that, it doesn't also mean you become a destructive person, like, I'm just going to let it be out there. But feel that energy and channel it. Find out where is, okay, so if I'm angry about the situation, what am I going to do about it? How can I use this energy in a creative way? How can I be a shapeshifter? And shape. So often if I'm angry, I mean, I've said to my team, this is a true story, that sometimes I've been angry and I've went and done a talk, and it's been my best talk. And I've said, wow. They said, Rob, how did you do that? You were so angry. And I was like, because I realized that anger is just a feeling. I am not anger. Anger is a feeling I'm having, and I can use that energy to focus my attention on where I want it to go. So in terms of, wow, you just said so much there. In terms of what you were saying about the anger and the road rage and all those things, I've had to work with road rage for myself. And one of the things, like if someone gives me a zap sign or a finger when I'm driving in traffic, something happens in me that I just see red. And before I used to get so angry. And now I've had to learn to go, it's just a finger. It's just a finger. Why am I getting so emotional about somebody else's state? Why am I giving my power to somebody else? And so now I'll just kind of wave and go, geez, I wish you well with that. But I've had to learn to master it. So learning to deal with this, and oh, geez, you said so. I'm just going to come back to the blaming and complaining, and that's this human state.
You said something amazing there now. It's really about giving away your power, isn't it?
Absolutely. We all have such incredible power, and the challenge is if we are going to blame external circumstances for the way we are feeling and for the conditions we find ourselves in, even if it's true. And I want to say that again. Even if what you are saying is true, even if your parents did abandon you, even if the government has ill-treated you, even if someone did leave you and break your heart, I am not saying it's not true. What I am saying, you can't always choose what's going to happen to you, but you can always choose how you respond. And the key to your power is in not what happens to us. Good and bad things happen to all people. Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, all of our great leaders, actually, if you look at all our great leaders, they come from challenging circumstances, and what made them powerful is not that they had the absence of challenging circumstances, they transformed challenging circumstances. So what I actually say to people is welcome pressure, welcome the challenge, but also you do need to educate yourself. You do need to learn, when I'm dealing with the situation, how can I be a shapeshifter? How can I be a transformer? Because everything is energy. How can I transform that negative energy into something beautiful and positive? So even if it's true that you have a reason to be angry, you have a reason to be resentful, I'm not saying that the person who did what they did should have done it. What I am saying is, it's what happened. What are you going to do about it? You can't change what happened, and blaming and complaining about the past doesn't help the past be better. All it makes you do is feel miserable about something that happened years ago. Some people, I always say to people, if you ever saw a bad movie, when the movie came out on DVD, would you hire the DVD to watch it again? I mean, would you? No,
of course not.
But then why do we do that? Because what most of us do is we play that scene on the screen of our minds about something bad that happened years ago. Oh, remember when he left me? I'll never forget. I can still feel it, Julie, like it was yesterday. When did it happen? 7 years ago. Why do I still feel it? Because I talk about it every day. Why do you talk about something that you know is going to make you miserable? Stop focusing on that.
Is that the victim state that you're talking about?
Completely. There's the ABC language that victims use, and there's the ABC language that victors use.
Okay, talk to us about the languages of the victims and the victors.
The ABC language of the victim, which we all go into, by the way, even Mr. Victim to Victor, even Mr. Mind Power, I go here. But the thing is to catch yourself. The ABC language of the victim focuses on accusation, blame, and complaint.
Give us examples.
Because that's what victims love to do, is they love blaming and complaining. Well, first of all, what happens is the media will give you a lot of ammunition. If you don't have something to complain about, just read a paper. Because I mean, the way they print articles. I saw a headline once in the newspaper, and the headline was, "How my hero raped me." Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but the language they use, my hero.
Sensationalism.
They sensationalize it. And then what do? Is we go to work and go, "Oh, did you hear what happened, Julie? It's terrible, man, terrible. Can you believe it?" And if we don't have something, if we're not complaining about what's happening in the country, how are things going at your job? "Oh, that's terrible." And not to mention my wife and my mother-in-law. And this is why we have coffee breaks, so you can complain. "Oh, that's terrible, eh? My word, but what can we do? That's life." That's what victims do.
Okay, hold the thought of the victim. When we get back from the ad break, we're going to talk about the language of the victors.
Excellent.
I'm talking to Robin Banks. I'm having a blast in the studio. An amazing person, amazing energy, and I'm so pleased that we have him here with us. We are talking, obviously, about motivation. Let's take an ad break, and when we get back, we'll continue this discussion with my guest, my esteemed guest, Robin Banks. Welcome back. I do hope that you're having a wonderful time listening to Robin Banks, my guest. He's a motivational speaker. I'm having a blast in the studio. Unfortunately, I've just been told that our phone lines are not working, so if you've desperately tried to get hold of us, I do apologize. You're not going to be able to reach us, but you can tweet us on hashtag Let's Talk, and we will then, of course, be able to respond. So it's hashtag Let's Talk. We're waiting to hear from you. And it's back to Robin Banks, our motivational speaker. We're talking motivation and a whole host of other things, victim to victor, passion, challenges in life, self-affirmations, all of those weird and wonderful things that can change your circumstances. So we do continue the discussion with Robin Banks. Back to you. We spoke about the victim and the victor mentality, the three things that we keep saying to ourselves. We spoke about the negativity. Let's talk about the positivity, the language of the victor.
Beautiful. And I love the way you said the language of the victor. And I always find it easy to tell what state people are in, including myself, by just listening to the language, because the language of the victim, as we said, is accusation, blame and complaint. And
also, you made me do this.
You made me. It's your fault. It's because of you that I'm feeling this way.
Yeah, it's the choice you've made, but it's your fault. Yeah. You told me. You gave me this advice, and now look at my circumstances.
Because of you. I know, that's why I never give advice. People say, Robin, what's your advice? I say, well, this is what I think, but what do you feel is right? Because at the end of the day, that's going to be your Geiger counter, which comes back to your previous question. Do I need a Robin Banks? No. I mean, I think Robin Banks can help, or whoever else can help. But at the end of the day, it's your internal guidance system that I think you need to learn to trust. So the ABC language of the victor, there are three things which I believe you and only you control. Your attitude, your beliefs, and your choices. And I believe when you take control of these three things, that's actually what shapes your circumstances. So by your attitude, what I'm referring to is that you can choose, again, we can't always choose what's happening, but we can choose our response, we can choose our attitude towards circumstances, and good and bad things happen to all people. I think some people have this belief system that I'm just not lucky, other people are so lucky. No, that's not true. I've had 2 car accidents in the last week. 2, not major, little fender benders. And I'm like, how fascinating.
You weren't concentrating, you were not mindful at the time. That's the problem.
I was not. And also when you do have an accident or something goes wrong, the first question I ask myself is, I wonder why I attracted that experience. What am I not seeing? Because everything is symbolic of something at a much deeper level. And I mean, there were minor, so I'm very blessed, inshallah.
Ameen, ameen.
I love when you say that. It's beautiful, inshallah. God willing, hey? That's what it means, inshallah.
Absolutely, yes.
Inshallah. So the ABC of the victor, again, is your attitude, your beliefs and choices. The one I really want to focus on is your beliefs. Because a big part of what I teach people is how to create a empowering belief system, that your beliefs aren't carved in stone. It's not, well, that's the way it is and that's the way you can change. No, you can change any belief about anything. And you and I touched on this during the break. And the best way to change your beliefs is, I always say to people that every morning when you wake up with unlimited power. And I know that sounds a bit corny, but it's true. And what's that power? The power to think whatever thought you want to. Nobody tells you what to think. Yet most people wake up in the morning and their first thought, oh, hell, oh, Monday, oh, I hate Mondays. And then they wonder why they have a bad Monday. They've literally created it. From the moment they open their eyes, their first utterance, the first creation, I hate Mondays. So of course you're going to attract negative experiences because you're literally putting out that vibrational frequency. So I always encourage my students that from the moment you wake up in the morning, start controlling and directing your thoughts. I'm going to have a great day today. I'm going to have an awesome and outstanding day today. I am focused, industrious, organized, and efficient. I vibrate success and it attracts wealth to me. So to control and direct your thoughts is the biggest gift anyone can give themselves. And here's the best thing. Only you can choose your thoughts. No one can tell you what to think. People can say what they feel, they can tell you what they think about you, but at the end of the day, you make the choice. So learn to control and direct your thoughts is the first thing. And if I may share with you, I always like to say to people that I believe, think of your mind as a garden of rich, fertile soil. Because any seed that you plant into rich, fertile soil, if you nourish and care for that seed, it will grow. Now here's the key. The soil doesn't care whether you plant weeds, tomatoes, carrots, tulips, pumpkin seeds, apples. It'll produce what you ask it to. And the awesome thing is that's exactly the way the mind works. The mind doesn't care what thoughts you think. Your mind doesn't care whether you focus on success or failure, happiness, misery, abundance, joy, poverty, relationships, love, hatred. Your mind doesn't care. It'll magnify and manifest what you focus on. That is why I think it's important for us to choose what we want the mind to focus on, because by consciously choosing your thoughts, you will consciously create your life. So,
if you're in an abusive relationship, or you have a horrible boss that you're working for, or perhaps you grew up in the shadow of a very bright sibling, and you were told, possibly maybe you were a very naughty child, and you were told throughout your life or throughout your growing years that you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, or you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly. You know, those type of very negative inputs that you got all your life. You're now a young adult, you want to change this, but yet you think, I'm ugly or I'm stupid. How do you break out of that?
Excellent question. Because we've all been told negative things about ourselves. We've all been conditioned to believe that we're not good enough at some level. And it does take conscious intervention by yourself. And the first thing to do is to identify the negative belief system. So when I did the Mind Power course with John Keogh, which I now have the pleasure of running and the privilege, I feel very blessed that I get to run the Mind Power course. But when I first did the course in 1999, I discovered unconsciously, because most of our belief systems are unconscious, we're not aware we have them. Other people might see that we've got them, but usually we don't see our own shadow. That's why they call it the shadow, because you can't see it. But it's good to first discover, what is my shadow? Like whenever people say they're perfect, or people who don't apologize, or people, there's always a problem going, whoa, there's a big shadow there. Because the first step is to at least acknowledge, I've got a shadow. I mean, I've got so many shadows. When God said issues, I thought God said tissues, so I got lots. But the thing is to see them, and to own them, and then to work on them, and then to transform them. So one of my negative belief systems that I wasn't aware I had was that I'd never be successful. Where would I get a belief system like that? Well, I told you in the beginning of this show that actually, when I was in high school, I got 46% for matric. And all my teachers, like with most people, said, Robin, if you don't have a tertiary education, you won't be successful. You must go to university if you're going to be successful. You must have a degree. Now, please, for the young people out there, this doesn't mean you don't have to study. That is not what I'm saying, because I've had people say, Robin Banks didn't get... No, that's not what I'm saying. I do think, there's parts of not having had an education that hasn't served me. So just to be clear, I do, at one level, wish I had. But this is the journey I've had. And I am where I am today. And I discovered that, good grief, I have a belief system that I'll never be successful, because I was conditioned to believe I'd never be successful because I only have a matric. Then when I did the Mind Power course, I thought, no, I can change my beliefs. How? First of all, by consciously changing your thoughts. And then we created 3 levels. We are creator beings. We create with our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And when your thoughts, words, and actions are in alignment, there's an incredible amount of power there. But what happens for most people is they think one thing, they say something else, and they do something completely different, and they wonder why they don't have personal power. You must be in alignment with your words. Integrity is doing what I mean, doing what I say, and what does it mean? I mean, what is that saying? I've forgotten it for a moment. But actually, I do what I say, and I mean what I say, and I do what I mean. Forget it. Point I'm trying to get to is you need to be in alignment with your thoughts, words, and actions. So I then started using an affirmation. Now, you and I spoke about affirmations during the break. Do you use affirmations?
Yes, I do.
They're awesome. And what is an affirmation?
Very especially when I'm down.
Yeah.
So when I'm showering in the morning, and just to get me out of that
state.
Dump and that state, because I know it's going to haunt me for the rest of the day. It's going to dog me the rest of the day. I start with self-positive affirmations.
Beautiful. And the beautiful thing about it is we are talking to ourselves all the time, by the way. Most of us are not aware. If you're not speaking to yourself, your mind is, oh my gosh, I mustn't forget to such and such. And I must forget that. So no wonder why we never rest, because the mind's constantly chattering. And if you can learn to control that self-talk, as you called it, if you can learn to control that voice on what you wanted to focus on, magic. I promise you magic. I have seen people literally transform their lives by learning to control their minds. So one of the things I did is I started using an affirmation, which is the following one. I am tremendously successful. I started saying this.
I need to ask you something there then. Sorry for the interruption.
No, please.
With all of the self affirmation and this motivation, and you're overflowing overflowing with all of this good stuff, isn't there a risk that you could become very narcissistic?
Beautiful question. I love your question. God, you're such a great interviewer, really.
Thank you.
People often say to me, what's the difference between confidence and arrogance? Confidence for me is believing in yourself. I am tremendously successful. And to own that. Not in an arrogant way. Arrogance is for me to say, I am tremendously successful and you're useless, man. You guys are a bunch of idiots. That for me is narcissistic. And I am in no way encouraging anybody to believe that they're better than anyone. And if I ever come across that way, I do not believe I'm better than anybody, and I don't believe anybody's better than me. Because I think we are all beautiful, magnificent, radiant beings of light. That's who we are. We are such beautiful beings. Just some of us have forgotten. And so my mission is to help people go, hey, do you know how awesome you are? Do you know how beautiful you are? Do you know how great you are? Not in an arrogant way. So coming back to the affirmation there, shifting a belief system takes time. You don't plant a seed today and expect a tree to grow tomorrow. You've got to nourish and care for that seed consistently, and that is why the power of repetition is essential. So I started saying this affirmation, I am tremendously successful. And you must say it with the right energy, because it's about energy. You know, if you said, I am tremendously successful. Please, I hope so. I need it, man. Then you're putting out the wrong energy.
Right.
You've got to say it with like a feeling of, I am tremendously successful. And even if it seems weird, trust me. I mean, I was driving around in my Beetle with the leaking roof. True story, custom. I was driving around in my Beetle with the leaking roof, earning 5,000 Rand a month. And I'm going, I am tremendously successful. I was not successful. But here's a very important point. The subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. Now, the conscious mind knows it's not real. The conscious mind goes, what are you talking about? You're not successful. You're driving around in a Beetle with the leaking roof. You've got more months at the end of the money. You are not successful. But the subconscious mind accepts whatever it's conditioned. And that's the key word, conditioned. Because I use this in my seminars, is I'll ask people to close their eyes for 2 minutes and visualize themselves on a beach in Seychelles. And I'll just leave them there for 2 minutes, and I'll paint the picture of the scene, and you can actually see people's faces, and as they're going, oh, how relaxing and beautiful and warm. And I said, now open your eyes, and I'll always go, open your eyes, and I'm like, no, just leave me here. But the point I'm making is the subconscious actually believes that. The subconscious believes that's where you are. Now the conscious mind is going, what are you talking about? You're not on a beach in Mauritius, you're sitting listening to this monkey. You're not on a beach. But the subconscious cannot tell the difference. So how do we use this to our advantage? Through repetition. So if there's one thing I want to recommend to the listeners, get into the habit of feeding your mind the thoughts you want it to think. Even if it's not real, for 5 minutes in the day while you're standing in the shower. Do it in the shower. I do it in the shower because you're standing there anyway. And also there's a nice echo. And you can say whatever you want. It doesn't have to be, I am tremendously successful. I am always in the right place at the right time. Some of my favorite affirmations, I am guided, directed, and protected. I am guided. So whenever I'm not sure about a decision I need to make, I'll use that one. I am guided, directed, and protected. I am guided, directed, and protected. I know what I want. I deserve what I want. I get what I want. I am always in the right place at the right time. The greater my success, the greater my ability to help others. I am a leader. I am a force for good in my country. My country needs me. I'm here to help people transform their lives. So I literally condition myself every day. Every day. Because you don't go to the gym once and expect results for the rest of your life. You've got to get into the habit, because then you don't need a Robin Banks. You're the one who's doing it for yourself. So changing a belief system, affirmations, most powerful thing you can do, just make sure it's stated positively. And the two most powerful words you can put together, I am. Because whatever you follow I am with is what you create, because we are creators.
We've almost come to the end of the interview, believe it or not. Yes.
I'm having such fun.
Thank you for that. So before we do wrap up, you don't do the corporate circuit any longer. I believe you now run your own seminars. Can you tell us about upcoming seminars, where, when, how, what they cost, etc.?
Well, I do still do the corporate circuit.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
okay.
I love the corporate. Right. But I'm doing a lot of public seminars at the moment. So I do a lot of free Mind Power introductory seminars. They're about a 3-hour session. And people go, 3 hours. I'm like, trust me, if I had my way, I'd keep you there for 7. But it's a session, I've got some coming up in Johannesburg and Cape Town over the next 2 weeks. Johannesburg's actually this Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And then Cape Town's the following week. But it's all on my website. It's evening sessions, except the Saturdays are morning sessions. And I'll be teaching them some mind power techniques, how to control and direct your thinking, how to deal with external circumstances. And then for those who are interested, I'll follow it on with the course, which is once a week for 4 weeks in a row. So if I may plug the website.
Go ahead.
My website is Robin Banks, R-O-B-I-N, because Y is a girl. So it's www.robinbanks.co.za. And also my Facebook is Robin Banks Live. So when you search for Facebook, people say they can't find me, but just search for Robin Banks Live. And all the information is on there, and I'd love to see you. We are quite fully booked, which is great. And I'm looking forward to them. They're free seminars. Honestly, I always say to people, I'm not going to tease you. I'm going to give you something real, because...
Something for nothing for a change.
Well, also the whole thing of abundance.
Right.
As you give, so shall you receive. It's so true. That for me, if you give abundantly, you receive abundantly.
That's where we'll leave it. Robin, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I've loved every minute of it. I do hope that we can have you on the show sometime soon again. Thank you so much.
Shukran. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum to you. Okay, so before we wrap up, a very big thank you to my production team. Let's wrap up with our thought for the day before I greet you on the show this morning. Vision gives a purpose, somewhere to go. It's the compass that keeps us going in the right direction, the blueprint with which we build tomorrow, today. And on that note then, it is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and Khuda Hafiz from me, Julie Alli.
قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا، حني قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا.